It is like a finger pointing away to the zombie takeout. Don't concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all of that heavenly glory.
Zombie takeouts are the same all over the world. They stink.
What's up? Welcome to episode 297 of Zombie Takeout.
Zombie Takeout.
The B-Movie and Cult Movie Podcast. I'm Uncle John.
And I'm Scotto.
And before we get to this week's movie, we've got some listener submitted. This is from Botto Winter on Twitter. He said, "At Zombie Takeout, love the show, but I am a truck driver that listens to the show at night to try to stay awake. Please no yawning."
Did we yawn?
I don't remember a yawn in last week's show, and I haven't had a chance to go back and listen, but I will edit them out from now on.
We apologize. I mean, of course, we're recording this, pretty late.
It's late.
For me, it is at least.
Yeah, and it's an hour later for me.
Yeah.
But, well, I'm more nocturnal than you, though.
Right.
But still.
Well, come on, though. After we're done with this, I'm passing out.
Yeah.
But you're having dinner.
Well, fair point. But I still may have yawned. And I'm surprised they didn't cut it if I did. But, yeah, from now on, they will definitely all be cut out. And one more, this is from Jen Miller on Facebook. In the comments of my post on my personal page about saying that I was watching Enter the Dragon tonight for Zombie Takeout, she said, "I think I've seen some of it, but I've also seen Kentucky Fried Movie so much that it kind of ruined it for me." And initially I replied that I had seen Kentucky Fried Movie, plenty of times, but I'd never seen this before. And, I was curious to see how much of it would spoil. We'll get to the answer, particularly in my What Have I Learned? And on to this week's movie, which is from 1973, Enter the Dragon. Of course, that brings us to the impromptu plot summary, sponsored by Deepities. They're just like philosophy, but without all of that pesky meaning. Do you want to seem profound despite the fact that you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about? Try a Deepity. Most people will fall for it.
And also brought to you by Boards. They don't hit back.
I thought you said Fords for a second there.
Boards. No, boards. Boards don't hit back.
No.
All right, so this I'm about to give you this plot summary.
Mm-hmm.
And actually I should have gone back to the episode that we originally saw this plot.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a group of warriors. They're en route to a tournament. We sort of see their backstories a bit. I mean, they pretty much did like a Canterbury Tales thing in a way. And of course, when they get there, there's a banquet. There's an orgy, but kind of separated into different quarters.
Wow.
And then, of course,
I'd
there's
never
the tournament
connected that.
itself. We saw a much shittier version of this in the form of Deathstalker from episode 209. Can you believe that was over 2 years ago? That was June of 14 we did Deathstalker.
Oy.
I was like, yeah, we just did this movie not that long ago. And I finally looked it up and I'm like, June of 14. Holy shit.
Well, I didn't hate this as much as I hated that, because I remember really hating that one.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was real, like, toilet paper on film. So, I can say hilarity ensues. Almost.
Pretty much.
He's one of them is, of course, trying to bring down the... wait a minute. They both did this. They're both trying to bring down the false king or person that is ruling the tournament.
This plot is about as old as the hero's journey.
Well, they were just taking a kung fu, Canterbury Tales sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, hilarity ensues.
Yeah. They take down the bad guy. Hilarity ensues. This is the first time I've seen this movie.
I'm surprised too, because I love this genre so much and I've seen so many other kung fu movies, but yet I've never seen this one.
Yeah, I saw plenty of kung fu movies growing up. And for some reason, I expected this one to be a little bit less silly. But there were some moves, particularly the flip over the monk's arms after that opening fight scene, rather. that was just ridiculous. Also, can it be a bad dub if it's dubbed into the same language?
Well, that was the first shocker that it was not dubbed. I was like, wow, the
Well,
lips are moving right along with. Wait, what? He's speaking English.
well, it's actually dubbed. The dialogue was not recorded when they filmed.
Okay.
ADR is called. They replaced all the dialogue later, and it's still a bad dub in a lot of cases.
Well,
it still sounds kind of ridiculous.
Nothing like.
Well, not like the old Kung Fu movies. Yeah. It's not a bad dub in the sense of the old Kung Fu movies. I'm thinking more of a bad dub in an anime sense.
Well, I had quite the opposite reaction to this because going in, I'm expecting like a Kung Fu movie, which,
right.
I mean, we've done this, the plot outline of a porn, only
right. Exactly,
you're substituting fighting for fucking. You have like couple bad lines of dialogue, and then they just throw down.
And if you want to see this exact plot with that level of filmmaking, Mortal Kombat.
But then to come to this, and to see them doing a Canterbury Tales, and then to see them doing some just beautiful visuals too. I was not expecting that at all. I was not expecting actual camera work to be going on here.
See, we came into this with opposite expectations. This is, and I think I've talked about the importance of expectation management before. You came into it expecting a classic cliche Kung Fu movie.
Of course. Why wouldn't I?
I, based on its reputation, came in expecting a great movie. So this is interesting. Neither of us got what we were looking for. Although I would love to see a mashup where every time they reference Han, the villain, they cut to Han Solo.
Well, Han was almost a villain.
No, he was the big bad. He was the one running the tournament. He was the guy with the claw at the end.
I thought Han was... Oh, that's right. That was Mr. Roper.
Roper was Saxon's character, who I expected to be a villain, but he wasn't. I think I was just basing that on his other work.
You were just upset that Norman Fell wasn't playing.
Actually, it was nice to see John Saxon. I haven't seen him in anything for a couple of decades.
Yeah, me neither, to tell you the truth. He looks so familiar.
I saw a lot of his stuff in the 80s. I was a bit young in the 70s.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he did a lot of movies that I saw on TV in the 80s, but it's been a while. And this movie, the beginning, it's just so much setup. 10 minutes in, they're still setting it up, and I'm bored.
Oh, well, they're all traveling to the place.
Well, no, they hadn't started traveling yet, because that kind of relieved the boredom. That looked nice.
There was some weird stuff in the beginning where, he's getting information and stuff. And
I think at the 10-minute mark, they were still talking to Lee. The CIA was still talking to Lee.
I don't even understand why they were working with... I mean, those characters really did not serve any purpose to the movie whatsoever. And probably could have been edited out easily.
Well, a lot of those could have been edited out.
Well, not anybody from the tournament, but the people, that they're like, call the colonel. It's like, what? Why did we need that scene?
None of the fight scenes. I'm not talking about the fight scenes. As ridiculous as John Saxon's fighting was compared to Bruce Lee, and I can't remember the guy who played Williams, Jim Kelly. Compared to those two, the nearly middle-aged, marginally trained actor looked really ridiculous.
Well, it is what made it shocking that he actually handled himself, because I was not expecting that.
Well, yeah.
I thought he was going to get, clobbered.
yeah, true. But I'm not talking about any of the fight scenes, but all of the stuff between the fight scenes could have been greatly cut down.
Well, between the fight scenes, not so much a problem, but just to working in, I mean, the only point I could see for the beginning, those initial 10 minutes, is to work the Deus Ex Machina in the end. Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, that could have been cut down considerably there.
Mm-hmm. And before we get to those lovely shots of all the junks in the harbor that made the movie watchable for a brief period, we have the cheesiest 70s TV pseudo-funk I think I've ever heard. Just what this movie was missing at that point.
Well, it was each character's origin.
Mm-hmm. Well, before that, we had the actual proper credits, and then they came back to that music for the origin stories, yeah. And,
well, yeah, you kind of had the Shaft knockoff.
Yeah, picture late 70s, early 80s generic cop show theme music, and you have that.
But just remember, this was 73.
Well, fair point. Incidentally, complete side note, but written, the number 1973 looks weird.
Yeah, I've written it many times.
It looked odd.
To talk about.
For me. I don't know, it just looked odd to me.
I think what was funny about like the theme music, though, if this were truly, a strictly Western production, the music would have been just this faux Asian music.
That's true.
But because there actually was a Western, an Eastern influence to it, that's why we got the Shaft knockoff.
It wasn't even Shaft knockoff. It wasn't that cool. It was generic cop show of that era music.
No, it was 2 years after Shaft, so I mean,
okay.
You listen to that, that guitar with the orchestration behind it.
I guess
that is all Black Moses right there.
Fair enough. I guess this was the first one to rip off Shaft. And then a bunch of cop shows did it for about 10 years after that.
Well, I mean, you had the blaxploitation films before this. Well, probably a handful, maybe not a handful, but a few at least. I mean, Shaft was there. But to take it to another ethnicity and to actually have the two working together, kind of.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, the A-Team theme was a slight variation on the same theme.
Probably.
It was a short step away, slightly more rock version of this same music.
That was 10 years later.
Exactly, that's the point. Anyway, getting away from the music, there were 3 Wilhelms in this movie.
Really? Oh, yeah, I think I picked one up.
2 in the scene when all the guys are chasing Lee's sister, and she kicks one into the water and throws another one into the water. They both let out a Wilhelm. And the first guy that Han claws at the end lets out a Wilhelm.
Now, the sister scene, I kind of thought they were setting something up where he was going to have to come in and rescue her and stuff until... So that was kind of a turn I didn't see coming in the very beginning. And it was a nice fight to set the tone, too.
And it also set up the classic revenge theme,
But the revenge didn't really even mount to much in the end. That's
true. It didn't really come down to that. It was really just the CIA plot to take down the dictator.
Right. I mean, you thought it was going to be, a big showdown between him and Kung Fu Vinnie Barbarino. He should be here with you while watching. I'm like, let me do my Vinnie Barbarino fight stance. I
was thinking of him more as Asian Joe Mantegna. Because he had about the same amount of charisma.
Yeah, but he had the hair.
Fair enough.
It's the hair. So, right, I mean, that fight was very anticlimactic, actually. It was kind of surprising.
Oh, yeah. They just kind of walked around and occasionally fought.
Yeah.
Broke some mirrors here and there.
Well, not the big heavy in the end, but the...
okay.
I'm talking about, what was his name? Robert Wall.
The big, O'Hara.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Interesting bit of trivia about that scene. After Bruce Lee's hand was cut on bottles due to a miscue by Bob Wall.
How?
When he lunged in with the bottle, I guess he just timed that in a way that Lee wasn't expecting, and he cut his hand really bad. Lee hit Wall with a real flying kick in a subsequent scene. Even though Wall knew it was coming, he was knocked into the man behind him so hard that it broke both of his arms.
Man, I mean, just watching him move, though, was just...
Oh, yeah. My only complaint, and it's not an issue with Lee himself, he was amazing, but my only complaint about the way it was filmed is it seemed kind of slow.
What, the actual...
Lee's fight scenes, they seemed a little bit slow motion.
It didn't seem like he was matched well in any of his fight scenes.
Well, not just that, but his moves himself, they seemed very slow. I don't know if they slowed down the film or asked him to move slower than he could. It just made them a bit anticlimactic. It
looked strange, but there was just something so beautiful about it. I mean, the scene where he steps on the guy, the first kill he makes, he has this look on his face that's just so pained at
that
the same time.
Kind of ridiculous. when he steps on the people and just lets out this high-pitched squeal and just looks like he's, I don't know, either coming or shitting.
He didn't do that for anybody else except for that guy. After that, it was kind of like, all right, it's on.
Well, no, he did step on O'Hara, too. He stepped on two guys. Oh, when he stomped O'Hara was when he had that ridiculous yell.
Yes. O'Hara was the one that he really had this look on his face of just, pain.
Just rolling back to the origin stories, if you will, the backstories.
Sure.
It was weird to hear racial slurs in a movie because it's so not done these days.
We have moved on to such whitewashing.
Jim Kelly's character, Williams, the reason he's there is he had an issue with a couple of cops and they used a racial slur a couple of times. And it just caught me off guard.
What was weird was that that's not why he was leaving. He was in the process of leaving and they stopped him.
Yeah.
And they didn't really explain why he was coming to this tournament.
Well, he had an opportunity to win the tournament. He was a martial artist.
Yeah.
And the impression I got before that, when I didn't think they were going to give him a backstory, was just that he was there to compete in the tournament. The whole best around thing. And yes, I tried to get that song stuck in people's head deliberately. Now, getting back to the scenes of the junks in the harbor, for a while there, it was kind of becoming the horseback riding scenes from Lord of the Rings.
Well, right.
It was just getting to be a bit too much, in Lord of the Rings, where they go to the horseback riding scenes for about a third of the movie.
It's the journey, the Canterbury Tales.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it was nicer to watch than the horseback riding scenes, but I don't know. It just got old.
I mean, it has to be a third of the movie because he's looking to, divide it up.
Okay,
each act.
All right, fair point.
The journey, they tell their stories of how they got there, and then the craziness of the castle. Actually, back to the fight scene with the sister. This is kind of what set the tone because, I mean, before this we had a lot of bad dialogue and stuff, but this scene, I was looking for stunt doubles.
These were Hong Kong guys. They don't do stunt doubles.
Exactly. I was very much surprised. Like, oh, even the woman is doing her own fighting.
I'll rephrase it. Hong Kong people. Yeah, they don't use stunt doubles. Although Lee did have a stunt double for a few scenes.
If they did,
in fact, I think Jackie Chan doubled for him at some point.
I was gonna say if he did, it was not very noticeable. It wasn't like Star Trek the original series bad. Like somehow the guy has like curly hair and different colored skin.
Now, when they first got to the castle or Han's complex, whatever you want to call it, there's this scene of them in the banquet, much like Deathstalker.
Yes.
And there are these two sumo wrestlers in the middle of the room competing.
Right.
Which was ridiculous enough as it was. But there are these two Chinese tumblers around them, moving around them. And I could swear I saw one of them do the worm. The breakdancing move.
I was going to say, now this is way before breakdancing, John.
Well, maybe not. I mean, it's actually probably starting to happen in the inner city around this time. This is probably around the origins of breakdancing.
73?
It really kind of started around that time.
Huh.
In maybe the mid-70s, but it wasn't long before. So it wouldn't be surprising if one of the choreographers was just that hip and worked it in. Or it could have just been a tumbling move that resembled it.
Now, if there was somebody doing the robot, you might have had a point, but I mean, I don't know.
That all kind of came together around the same time. With a lot of the origins of breakdancing and the robot and all that. Now, for some reason, all of that sneaking around stuff that he did around the complex, the human fly stuff.
Yes.
Not suspenseful at all to me. I know it was supposed to be suspenseful, but I was just kind of bored with it.
You kind of knew he was never going to get caught.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But you knew that Williams was going to get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
That's where the real tension came from. Was that, okay, he knows Williams is out because, he just walked past courtesan, told on him.
Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't catch that.
He had his bevy of courtesans, and they told him he couldn't go out, but he did anyway.
Right.
And then the problem was Bruce Lee is wreaking havoc while he's out just, taking in a breath of fresh air.
Although, in hindsight, it was obvious, but at the time I didn't expect him to be as punished as he was.
Me neither. Holy shit. That did not see that coming whatsoever.
Although, like I said, in hindsight. Also, was this the first case of the black-gloved fake hand?
It might be.
Because that really became a trope up through the early 80s.
This movie, there's so much I saw in this movie just from the first go-through that was used for the next, 15 years easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's nuts. Because, I mean, this is around the time where Lucas and Milius get the idea to go and do Apocalypse Now in Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
And they obviously got the idea from this.
Yeah.
Because Han is, a Kurtz figure.
Very much.
And even in the final version of Apocalypse Now, Coppola's version, you have the whole CIA giving Willard the mission and everything, which, I mean, I would
when
have
was
lost
the book written?
Oh, Heart of Darkness is, it's Ivory Congo.
Okay. It wasn't Nam, okay.
No, they decided to put it in Vietnam.
Oh, all right.
After seeing this, I think.
Okay.
But they wanted to go to they wanted to go to Vietnam and film it, which of course they couldn't.
Of course.
Because the war is still going
right.
on. Or I think it might have been 1974 that they wanted to go over, right after the war ended.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they decided, you can't do that. And so it went to Coppola, and Lucas did some other movie called Star Wars, I think, which is, of course, Vietnam in space. But anyway.
Right. Now, with regard to reused plots, critics have referred to Enter the Dragon as a low-rent James Bond thriller, a remake of Dr. No with elements of Fu Manchu.
Very true. There is a lot of Bond in this too.
Mm-hmm. And I thought about that when he was sneaking around at night, because it was very Bond. Except when I've seen Bond do that, it was interesting.
I don't know, because Bond's
and I still know Bond. Yeah,
off.
Exactly. I still know Bond's never going to get caught.
And Bond doesn't quite move the same as Bruce Lee does. That's what the point of the scene was, to show off how well Bruce Lee moves.
Yes. I don't know. I just find it more interesting in a Bond film than I found it in this one.
I don't think the Bonds hold up as well.
Well, it's been a long time since I've seen a Bond movie, that's true. And the last one I saw was Brosnan, so.
I haven't seen these new ones, but talking about the old Connery more, even,
actually,
even up to Brosnan.
Come to think of it, I have seen a little bit of Skyfall and kind of lost interest.
Yeah.
I've never been a big Bond fan.
I don't even quite understand how they take place in our present time, since we have all of these gadgets that are better than what Bond had even. Doesn't make any sense. Right. I can understand the 60s audience being like, holy shit, he's got this little thing that he can just talk into and someone else can hear him. To us, we kind of use that every day on the trip to work.
I kind of figured they were taking place at the time they were filmed, and I'm one of those people who subscribe to the, there are multiple Bonds theory. It's a code name, not a real name.
Yeah, I said that too, but then they did the whole View to a Kill thing with the wife, and I don't know. It
anyway,
would make more sense if it was multiple Bonds. But yeah, I could see where they would get Bond out of this, but Bond wasn't really a good fighter.
No.
Now, what I'm talking about, though, because Milius, remember, how long has it been since you've seen Conan the Destroyer?
That was the second one?
I believe it was the Destroyer that he did this.
I don't know that I've ever seen the second one. I've seen the first one, obviously.
Where there was a mirror, a creature with mirrors, and he had to destroy the mirrors.
Okay, well that gag goes back a long time too.
Oh, the way it was filmed with the white background and the mirrors, it looked very reminiscent of the climax here.
Well, but the whole House of Mirrors, you don't know who's, whether the bad guy's here or over there gag. I saw that on Scooby-Doo, which goes back about a decade before this movie. It's an old gag. They just incorporated Kung Fu into it, or marginally.
But I'm talking about how they even, just the look of the scene and how they filmed it and everything.
Oh, yeah, how it's shot isn't, perhaps original.
He completely, it may have been the first Conan, actually, and not the second
Again,
one.
it's been a while since I've seen that one, too.
there's a scene where Conan just destroys mirrors for what seems like no reason, but it actually weakens the creature.
It doesn't sound familiar. It must have been in Destroyer.
And I swear it was almost like they took the same stage, the same scenery and everything. And it was of course written by Milius also, or that was written by Milius, who had to have been watching this.
Is it just me, or did some of Bruce Lee's moves look like they were mixed with pro wrestling? Like the big stomp and certain other moves, it looked like they took some things right out of pro wrestling.
I don't know, because pro wrestling was a lot different back then.
Fair point. Maybe maybe pro wrestling has borrowed from this.
Yeah, that's a very good possibility. Well, they had, of course, Ricky Steamboat, who took the name the Dragon and all that, who looks nothing like Bruce Lee, actually. So I'm not even sure how that worked. But, hey.
And this was the movie that supposedly kicked off the kung fu craze of the 70s and early 80s. So, it's definitely plausible that wrestling borrowed it from this.
The other thing I was surprised about was that this is not the first of the series. I kind of thought we were beginning at the beginning. This is his last movie.
Well, I know it's his last movie, but I didn't know this was part of a series.
Well, there are other, the dragons in the series.
Oh, okay.
He's not even playing the same character.
So I wouldn't call it a trilogy, or a series, just similar titles.
It's just Bruce Lee movies.
Yeah. The only other dragon movie that I can think of is The Last Dragon, which is very, very different. Yeah,
before this was The Way of the Dragon, and I thought there was another one before that. But no, this is the second of the dragon movies.
Oh, some interesting casting trivia. There was a problem finding actresses to play prostitutes, so real prostitutes were hired for the film.
Wow.
And the hundreds of extras needed to play derelicts were real derelicts from the streets of Hong Kong.
Wow. So that scene in the end had to have been insane.
Yeah.
Where they were letting the derelicts run free, and then there were people looking like they were fighting them at the same time. That had to have been nuts.
Yeah. And is it just me, or did it seem like Saxon and Lee were giving their own movie 2 thumbs up at the end? I mean, this was a while before Siskel and Ebert, but still.
Yeah. One device that I noticed used in this, they continue the proud tradition of Star Trek. Instead of red shirts, they had tan shirts in this.
Did all the tan shirts die?
Oh, the tan shirts were the ones that, they have failed miserably. And he pretty much just let them all get killed by that giant... Who I wish had,
you're not talking about O'Hara, the Asian guy, right? Who was just ridiculously muscular?
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of ridiculously muscular, so obviously they took every excuse to get Bruce Lee's shirt off. And they did the same with Jim Kelly. But John Saxon...
to eat a sandwich? No.
But John Saxon was conspicuously wearing a yellow gi every time he was on camera, practically.
Yeah, fuck that.
The 38-year-old actor not taking his shirt off.
He was really 38 in this, huh?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I checked because he always kind of looks old. So I was just curious how old he was. Yeah, he was 38.
Wow.
Or at least 38 when it was released. Maybe 37 when it was filmed.
That's amazing stuff. Good for him.
On to sequels and remakes?
On to sequels and remakes.
In August 2007, the now-defunct Warner Independent Pictures announced that television producer Kurt Sutter would be remaking the film as a noir-style thriller entitled Awaken the Dragon, with Korean singer-actor Rain starring. It was announced in September 2014 that Spike Lee will work on the remake.
Oh.
It gets worse. It actually gets worse. In March 2015, Brett Ratner revealed that he wanted to make the remake.
What?
Rush Hour, X-Men, the third X-Men movie.
Oh, that's who I... Oh.
Yeah. So let's hope that stays in development hell. along with Akira.
Yeah, I honestly can't see this being remade. It's just
No,
of its time.
exactly, yeah.
I mean,
and there have been a million versions of this story. It's not
yeah,
like it's a unique story.
right. Like, there was Deathstalker.
Yeah, I mean, and you could arguably say Mortal Kombat was a remake, just with supernatural elements.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that really caught my attention from this film, it is the director and what he did with the camera and just his visuals. Robert Klaus. He did do a movie later in his career called Game of Death, and it's about Bruce Lee faking his death.
Oh, wow.
So, in a way, it's kind of a sequel to this. But there's this other movie of his we have to do called The Ultimate Warrior.
Sounds familiar. Well, no, I'm thinking of the wrestler.
Right. And it's about it's a futuristic sci-fi movie. It's New York City in the year 2012 AD.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we have to do that.
We
should have done a two-parter with 2012 a few years ago.
Yeah, we should have done it during the, but now we can talk about it. Pretty much, it'll be 5 years after the fact.
On the brains?
On the brains.
It's a classic. I get that it was very influential. The fighting is great when there is fighting. But I was bored for a lot of it, so I'm going to go 3.
I'm definitely recommending it. I think the writer is the weak link of the chain here.
Perhaps, yeah, good chance.
One of my favorite lines, "There's a man here. Go to him." I was like, really?
Maybe that's why it seemed like a bad dub. The writing was just so bad.
Yeah, the writing was pretty bad. I mean, he had a nice concept of the Canterbury Tales and Kung Fu together, but he needed to have, I don't know, knew what the fuck he was talking about. Would have been nice. However, the martial artists, I mean, think about we had Zatoichi, and that was a fight scene before this.
Oh, the fight scenes were amazing. There just weren't enough of them for me. That's my only complaint about them.
And yeah, to go from there to here, and then there were people that still weren't even up to this par. I mean, like the Star Wars movies.
Well, they weren't really action movies as much as some people we like to think they might have been.
Like the fight scenes in those Star Wars movies didn't get up to this level until 99.
Well, there were no fight scenes in the first one. It was Alec Guinness standing there with a pole.
Exactly. You pretty much had Zatoichi fight choreography.
Yeah.
In Alec Guinness and poor Prowse going, how the fuck do I move in this thing?
I would say the choreography in Empire was pretty good.
It was better, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't this level, but it wasn't bad. No. It wasn't Ray Park, though. So I'm going 4.5.
All right, and what have we learned?
We learned that maybe breaking mirrors does bring bad luck. It may even to your son, maybe even.
Wow.
Bruce Lee died like July, like months after this thing came out.
And I learned that I should have stuck with A Fistful of Yen. It's the same story, but much more entertaining and in about a third of the time. All right, so until next time when we'll be reviewing Mean Guns, this should be interesting because I have not seen this in decades, and it's Ice-T and Christopher Lambert.
I think
just take a moment and let that combination sink in.
I know. I think we are in for quite a performance or two.
It'll be fun if nothing else.
If Ice-T's performance in Ricochet is any indicator.
I'd prefer to think of his performance in Tank Girl.
Or his performances in any of the Law & Order SVUs.
Actually, never seen it. That says it all. Until then, go to zombietakeout.com, check out the album art, the episode description, of course the episode itself, which you're already listening to, links to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube, links to subscribe via RSS and iTunes. Please leave us a rating and a review on iTunes, we'd really appreciate it. And also, if you enjoy the show, give us some word of mouth. Of course, we appreciate all of the listeners we have, but more would be better. You'll also find the movie list, every movie we've reviewed so far, and every movie we're going to review in order through the end of the year, beginning of next year. Of course, it ends with 50 Shades of Grey. Still hard to say. We also find the request form. If you've got a movie you'd like to hear us review, please leave it on the request form. And, of course, the recommendations list. I was surprised by my own rating. I thought this would make the rec list easy. In fact, I was a little behind the scenes. I've already worked out my top 10 of the year. I just want to see how close I can get to my actual top 10 when the time comes. And this is one of the ones I thought might throw me off. But no, it didn't. I thought this would be an easy rec list.
I can't work on the end of the year stuff yet.
It's not an official prediction. That's why I didn't want to list it on the show, or why we decided it wasn't a good idea to list on the show. It's just, for my own purposes, I want to see how close I get, just out of curiosity.
And the Hebrew Hammer could take it all.
That's true. I mean, that's a wild card, because I've never seen it. I think almost everything we're reviewing up until then, I've seen, except for maybe Death Race 2000 and Cherry 2000. If I've seen them, I don't really remember.
Yeah, if I saw them, it was like really late at night. With the sound really low.
I think everything else we were reviewing up until Hebrew Hammer I've seen, so I have a fair idea of what of the two movies that I think will be on my best list. Obviously Grail, and another one we'll get to shortly thereafter. I think it's the week after Grail. Or 2 weeks, because I think we're doing a Star Trek movie after Grail.
3, sir.
You can email us, zombieticket@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail at 414-368-ZTO1, or for the alphanumerically challenged. I was hoping you would go there. 414-368-9861. Of course, always remember that you'll always be calling from the middle of Milwaukee. And until next time, always remember, never forget, wherever you go in life, there you are.
Where you go?
Out in the moonlight, baby.
It is not allowed. You must stay.
Oh? Goodbye.
And on to that movie, and on to this week's movie.